Hi guys, Jay Smith here, welcome to the AskGolfNut channel, welcome to Vice drivers. Now Vice started with golf balls, then they went into the hardware market. They went and started with their irons, their wedges and also their putters. And if you've seen the putter, I really do like the putter I have, the VGP02 I think it is. That is a rather eye-catching putter. So Vice do know how to make, shall we say, cool or at least very distinctive, catchy in the eye golf clubs, and it's no different with the VGD01. I've got the 1 and the 1 Plus. Not very difficult to understand the naming conventions for Vice. You've got VGD, Vice Golf Driver 01, as in the first one, and of course the 01 Plus, which is a slightly lower spin one. They do make two different head covers though. You've got the standard head cover, which is the standard head cover like with Vice written on it, and is the Vader one, I think this is called, but it's round, as you can see at the top, and it's Vice on the side. It does look quite nice. Whichever one you want when it comes to your custom fitting, Vice do have a pattern of giving some weird and wonderful fitting options. When it comes to their irons, you can change all ferrule colors and shaft colors and grip colors, etc. And you can do a certain amount with the drivers as well. Tech-wise in this golf club, some manufacturers like to put on their website just an absolute mountain of information, tech of what is inside their head. Vice are more so less is more when it comes to their website of understanding what's inside this head. We do know that it's titanium, and we do know that it's got carbon in the crown and titanium basically everywhere else. This is the, I don't want to say the cheaper one, this is the more budget side of things. I think this is something like 270 or so pounds, and whatever there is that is in your currency around the world. But when you're looking at manufacturers, sometimes 500 to 600 pounds for a driver, this thing becomes very, very attractive when you're talking it's half the price. We will see if it's half the performance of the other big brand names. We will find out how good this driver is at keeping distance up across the face. When you hit it out the middle, it goes a certain distance. When you don't hit it out the middle, how much distance does it drop in our normal heat map style? We'll also go test this at 3 different swing speeds, 80, 95 and 110 miles an hour, because again, golfers swing at all different swing speeds, and so hopefully within 30 or so miles an hour, that will encompass as many golfers as possible. That crown is nice. I like it. I can't help but like how Vice make golf clubs. Even their putters and their irons, they have this pattern to them, and no different to this. On the crown, which is obviously carbon, you can see a distinct pattern. I don't know what you want to call that, but it is carbon patterning of something. You have a Vice logo at the very top. The sole is a little bit less busy. We have those kind of aggressive fins with that weight at the back, but Vice are saying this is their draw biased one. So this will be for the fader among people, and this will hopefully be a little bit more draw biased to try and stay away from that side of the golf course. Talking about the golf course, we are at a hole which is nearly drivable. It's 290 something odd yards. Now it would be drivable if I was swinging at my 110 or so normal speed, but because of the knee and me trying to protect the knee from exploding, let's see, 105 or so miles an hour, dial the speed down, let's go see how it feels. Well, it's definitely left. It definitely helps the golf ball go to the left-hand side. Club head speed 104.4 miles an hour. Club path is really good, 0.7 from the inside. The face is slightly closing. That would be the death of a golf club which is a little bit draw biased. 0.7 closed, not much whatsoever. 4 mil toe, 0 mil low. It felt really quite nice. You can still feel that 4 millimeters. Now, whether it's because of the head being slightly lighter and with a slightly lighter head and the same weight golf ball, whether you get the feeling of a little bit more twist when you don't hit the middle, I'm not quite sure, but you can definitely feel it. It's going 250 yards of carry, 273 yards total, 28 yards offline. That's me because I allowed the golf club to close, and with a slight toe, and this is a draw bias golf club, that's exactly where it's designed to go. Feel wise, good hit, a slightly higher pitch sound. This is titanium predominantly, has got that carbon crown, but it does sound more titanium than it does carbon. When it comes to looks, when it comes to feel, very subjective. Different golfers will want different things. So if a golf club's really quiet or really loud, some people like it, some people won't. It's that subjectivity side of things. Let's go give it another hit. Hopefully this time I won't leave the face a little bit closed and I can get it going somewhere closer to the middle of the fairway. I can't complain. I cannot complain at all. I'm near enough hitting the line because I'm aiming fraction. Oh, we are so close to the front edge. Club head speed 106.7 miles an hour. I do need to calm down a little bit. Club path's 1 degree from the inside. The face was 0.8 open. Again, open with the face open with the path from the inside, should go out to the right. 3 mil toe, 3 mil low, pretty darn good strike, can't complain at all. However, that did have draw, and that landed 0.7 of a yard offline, so very close to the white line. 261 yards of carry, 283 yards in total, and as you saw, it was very close to the front edge of the green. But I left the face open. You can distinctly see that this golf club wants to try and draw, but then that's exactly what this golf club is designed to do. It wants to draw. It's designed to draw. But feel-wise, felt really nice. Performance-wise, works really well. This is half the price of big brand names, and at the moment I'm really struggling to see any difference when it comes to the performance of it. Like, really struggling. Now, is the efficiency a little bit lower, 1.43? Yes, considering that was a really good hit, 3 mil toe, 3 mil low. That's a pretty good hit. And the path and face to path is really good. No problems there whatsoever. Loft is 14.7 degrees, so it's not like I'm delivering 20 odd degrees of loft and deflection is taking the efficiency down, but the efficiency is only 1.43. So I'm not kind of getting the ball speed that I would like to because of the very much so lighter head. If that was heavier, I'd get a little bit more ball speed and potentially a little bit more the way of distance, but not much. I think I just killed a goose. Miss hit from me. That's very, very, very low. Very low. Club head speed 105.6 miles an hour. That's the good bit. Also, well, club path 0.3. I'll take that as well. However, face to path 2.1 degrees open, not the best, and 4 millimeters heel, 13 millimeters low. That was a genuine miss hit, and it's done all right. 7 yards offline. Have we lost a little bit of distance? Yes, we have. 242 yards of carry, 263 yards of total. However, that was rather poor, low strike with a face open. We have hit target, and that's done pretty darn well. Did it feel the best? No, it didn't, I'll be honest. That low on the face, no driver feels very nice at all. It done very, very well. It didn't carve off to the right-hand side that you can get sometimes when you have a face 2.1 degrees open with a low strike as well. But again, this is draw biased. So it will be interesting if I had a face slightly closing with a high strike, that might be on the other fairway. But again, when it comes to this driver, this is designed for people that fade it and designed for people that say hit it low and let it heely. And so if you were a high toe drawer, you wouldn't really be going for a draw bias golf club. Probably not. Right, give it another go. But when you do a better job of hitting somewhere close to the middle, as you can see, it just does really well. That's quite close to the green as well, 25 yards away. Club head speed 106.8 miles an hour, club path 0.2. My club path today is very, very good. Face path 0.9 degrees open, so that would go fractionally out to the right hand side normally. 0 mil hill, 3 mil low, very good on the strike. Cannot complain. 256 yards of carry, 277 in total distance, 1.5 yards off of line. Is it massively draw biased? It's not hugely draw biased. There are golf clubs out there which are far more draw biased than this, although it does give you a little bit of assistance if you are worrying about the right hand side of the golf course. You can see every single thing on this golf club is trying to just maneuver you a little bit more down the left hand side. It's not aggressive, it's not massive, it's enough. If you are a fader of the golf club or the golf ball and want a golf club to try and take a little bit of that fade away, then absolutely, this will do it. I want to hit one, maybe two more, dependent, before we go into the numbers side. Like that. That was really poor. Feeling wise, very, very low. When I say low, it's probably going to be about 7 millimeters, but you can definitely feel it. What a good result. Club head speed 106.5 miles an hour. Slow down a little bit, Jay. Club path 1 degree from the inside. Face to path 0.8 close. Potential for going left again. 2 mil hill, 8 millimeters low. That saved me a little bit because 8 millimeters low, as soon as you hit it low on the face, that will want to try and help the golf ball out to the right hand side. and it didn't. We are 4.2 yards off of line, 253 carry, 276. So it's doing really well considering that is low on the face. Now you can really feel it. This is the thing, with that light head, yes, I don't feel like I'm struggling to reach 106, maybe 107 miles an hour, and I'm not swinging fast. I don't feel I'm swinging fast at all. And that is because of this light setup. The only issue I find with the light setup is, yes, you can move the mass faster, and if you can create more distance through ball speed, then that's a win. However, if you're losing more ball speed because the mass is lighter, you're not transferring the same amount of energy into the golf ball to get the ball speed, it's a robbing Peter to pay Paul. But performance-wise, really good. Last one, because I want to see how it works. 3 different swing speeds, 80, 95, 110. And I also want to see how that distance factor map gets on. That's me trying to, what I would say, bomb one, trying to use a little bit of dynamics to try and get the golf ball going out there a little bit. Higher launch, lower spin, 20 yards now away from the green. Club head speed 106.8 miles an hour, club path 1.3 from the inside, face 0.7 degrees open, 11 mil toe, 5 mil high to try and get that golf ball a little bit more higher launch, lower spin. We are launching at 13.2 degrees and spinning at 2.2. 260 yards of carry, 282 yards of total distance, and 7 yards off line. Now, is it a little bit low on efficiency? Yes, 1.41, but that is to do with the strike. 11 mil toe, 5 mil high, obviously is not middle, so that will take a little bit through twist, etc. But you can really feel the twist of the head. You can definitely tell where you're hitting this on the golf club. If you're trying to find a golf club to train your strike, to know exactly where you're hitting it, something like this will work exceptionally well. Right, let's go give this one a hit. 3 different swing speeds, 80, 95, 110 miles an hour. Let's also go test it all over the face. Some weird and wonderful shots. Heel, low, high toe, all those weird and wonderful ones. Let's go see how much distance is lost when you don't hit the middle in that normal heat map style. Let's go see how well the Vice VGD01 gets on. On the screen you can see this is information for the efficiency heat map. When you don't hit the middle, how much ball speed do you lose? Manufacturers nowadays are amazingly good at trying to keep ball speed up across the face because of their variable face thickness and all the different technologies that they use within the face to try and keep ball speed up. They are very, very good. So if you haven't seen these before, these are a face-on illustration of the face. You can see at the top there you've got -30 on the left-hand side, that is the toe. You've got 30 on the right-hand side, that is the heel, your high and also low. And of course you can see by the numbers, that is how many percent in 1s, 2s, 3s, etc. in the minus. How much ball speed do you lose when you don't hit the middle? And as you can see, unless you are going massively heel and massively toe, the amount of green on this golf club is incredibly, incredibly good. If a driver was just based on the efficiency heat maps of modern day drivers, well, they would just go the exact same distance every single time. But because the drivers, no different than fairwoods and the hybrids, have got what we call roll and bulge faces, a curved face, the efficiency map is one thing. The distance factor map is the most important thing of understanding how a golf club will actually work. If you go to the distance factor map, you can see a color difference straight away. Gone as all the green, we now have a blue in there as well. I'll explain what happens in the blue in a sec. But you can see when you move around the face, you do lose a little bit more in the way of distance. So 0, 0, right in the middle, that is exactly how far the golf club goes. It could be 250 yards, it could be 270 yards, doesn't matter exactly how far that golf club goes out of the middle. And when you move around the face, you get a different amount of distance from it. Because we're talking about a roll and bulge face, a curve face, we are talking about launch differences, we are talking also about spin differences as well. If you hit high in the face, you get a higher launch but lower spin. If you hit low on the face, you get a lower launch and higher spin, and you also get differences when it comes to heel and toe as well. So when you measure how far the golf club goes out of the middle and you move around the face, you can see that if you go, let's say, what's the best one there? So -2, which is 2 mil toe, and around an 8 mil high, you actually get 2% extra in distance. This is because of the launch differences and the spin differences. It will launch slightly higher and spin slightly less, and you'll get 2% extra distance from the middle. And as you move around the face, you can see there how much distance that you lose when you hit, say, extreme heel, extreme toe, low, etc. And you can see, unless you are a massive lateral misser, we'll call it, massively toe and massively heel, this driver is actually really quite good at trying to keep the distance up when you hit the middle and when you don't hit the middle. It's not until you go massively over to nearly 30 or so mil off of the toe, and especially the same when you go over to the heel as well. It's actually slightly worse off the toe than it is off the heel. But you can see you're losing around about 8 to 6% of your distance when you're hitting that far away. Now, I would argue one thing. If you're going to be hitting 30 millimeters plus off of the middle, rather than worrying about equipment, you need to be thinking about lessons from coaching to try and not have that much of a miss. It's a massive miss. If you were going to deviate between 30 mil and 30 mil, that's 60 mil gross across the face. That is a big miss. So this driver is doing very, very well. It has got a slight hot spot, you could say, from a point of view of distance, slightly high. If you're a slightly high and slightly toe striker, you will get the maximum from this golf club. So let's go have a look at how well this golf club gets on at 3 different swing speeds. On the screen, you can see this is the ball traces for the 80, 95, 110 miles an hour. We've got all the ball speeds, the launch angles, the spins, the carries, the peak heights, descent angles, and offline as well. Offline because there is a slight bias to this driver. When it comes to Vice, they do openly say that the VGD01 is slightly draw biased, and you can see by the trace on there, rather than going 0 yards, it is deviating slightly to the left-hand side. Not massively or so, but it's around about sort of 6 or 7 yards or so, but it's still moving to the left. And you can see what happens when you go from 80, 95, 110 miles an hour. If you go 80 miles an hour, first of all, ball speeds 114 miles an hour. By the way, this is all at 16 degrees delivered loft and 4.5 degrees angle attack up, because I hit slightly up on the golf ball. So the ball speed's 114, launches at 12.3 and spins at 1931. This is the only thing what happens when you start thinking about going down to a slow swing speed like an 80 miles an hour. And you keep this at 10.5 degrees. This is the 10.5 degrees of static loft, and I add a little bit of loft, obviously, because I'm hitting up as well. So that's why we got 16 degrees of delivered loft. And you can see at 1931, it is dangerously close at trying to keep the golf ball in the air. It's okay, it's enough, but just if you start moving slightly higher in the face, you get a little bit better launch that you saw in the distance factor. The problem is you will start reducing spin, and then you get into the realm of we need to get that 10.5 degree head and up the loft on it to try and get a little bit more launch angle and more spin, because we're going to start risking hitting slightly higher in the face, reducing that spin through gear effect, and then the ball falling out of the sky. If you go 95 miles an hour though, ball speed goes up to 135 miles an hour, launch doesn't change, 12.3 degrees. Just because you swing faster, launch doesn't change whatsoever. It's ball speed and then spin that does. You're going at 2.3 now on the spin, 2.293, which is much more in the healthy window for a 95 mile an hour swing. Absolutely is in the butter zone. You have a little bit of wiggle room if you want to hit it slightly high in the face as a miss. You will get a slightly better launch, but also reduce the spin fractionally. At 2300, you've got that wiggle room there to not hit those knuckleballs, the ones that just basically just fall out the sky. If you start taking some speed away, getting that lower spin can be good, but it also is not much room. You ain't got much wiggle room whatsoever before you. There's not enough spin, and then the ball will fall out the sky and you'll lose 40, 50 yards rather than trying to gain the odd 10 or 15. If you go 110 miles an hour, the full on 110 miles an hour, ball speed's now 156.5 miles an hour, which is nice and healthy. Launch again, 12.3, doesn't change, but spins now at 2.6. So this is the point where I would say probably going into the VG Vice Golf Driver 01 Plus, VGD01 Plus. Yep. Because that is a slightly lower spin, and we'll be doing that review after this one, but it's a slightly lower spinning head than this standard VGD. But if you do deliver in a way to minimize spin, or at least spin it less than what I do, then actually the VGD01, the standard one, could work really well. It's just at my speed and my delivery, when you're going up at spin at 2.6 or 2.655, we are wasting a little bit of distance. It's starting to climb too much and then descend too much. You're looking at peak height being 36, descent angle being 42.1. We talk about 7 irons going into green at 40 degrees or more because we want stop. Well, this is going at 42.1 degrees into a fairway, and we don't necessarily want stop. We want that sub 40 degrees because we want to hit the fairway and then bounce, and then maximize roll. So it's not just carry, but it's total distance with a driver. When it comes to an iron, we're looking at hitting a number. We're looking at being more accurate. With the driver, it's got one thing. It's got to hit fairway, if possible, and go as far as possible at the same time. So I think when it comes to 110 miles an hour, if you are a very fast swing speed golfer and you don't deliver in a way which is going to minimize spin, or at least lessen the spin, which I do, you can see there, then you'd probably have to look at the VGD01 Plus because it's a slightly lower spinning head. So this is the point where we have a look at the advanced data of the driver. All this information that you see here is going to be available on my website, www.askgolfnut.com, where we have 100 or so plus irons in the database that you can compare all the flights, etc. And when it comes to the driver database, it is growing. It's not as mature as the iron database, but especially when silly season is coming, we are going to be populating the database, the driver database, with this information for a lot more drivers for the website members to see. But you can see at the bottom left-hand side, we've got a distance factor. Distance factor is basically a measure of what happens when you put at my swing speed, a fast swing speed, you've got the launch, you've got the face spin rates as well, we'll have a look at that in a sec, and then how long the driver is. At a given club head speed, how far will that golf ball go? The problem is when you're looking at a golf club which spins the golf ball quite a bit, we'll look at that one in a sec, it is a little bit shorter on the distance factor. If you are someone who swings around, say, the 95 miles an hour, you're looking at the distance factor being slightly different because that will have a slightly lower spin rate, or lower total spin rate, and you can actually get that distance factor going up. But launch factor is a measure, loft for loft adjusted, of how well does a golf club, no different to the irons, the drivers no different, out of the middle, how much does it convert whatever loft, limit loft you deliver, how well does it convert that into physical launch? And it's on the average, 77% of its delivered loft it converts into launch. Now, different golfers will want different things. Some golfers who launch the golf ball very, very low may want that golf club to launch as high as possible, so different golf clubs will do things slightly differently. And someone who launches the golf ball really, really high won't necessarily want a high launch factor because it's potentially going to lessen, especially if they spin it as well, it's going to lessen their total distance. So this one is firmly in the average, but in the slightly lower tier average section. Face spin rate is loft adjusted again. How much does one golf club spin the golf ball compared to others? And this is dangerously close to getting into the high. Now that's either not good or bad. Again, you saw that from the slightly slower swing speeds. Having a slightly higher face spin rate can actually be quite good. You need that wiggle room to keep the golf ball in the air. But when it comes to the fast swing speeds, the problem with having a high face spin rate is that you can get some very high spin numbers and the ball basically climb in the air rather than doing anything of going forward. And this is what you saw for the 110 miles an hour. As soon as you go a little bit fast, you get the spin rate goes up and you start costing yourself a little bit of distance. Going back to the distance factor, yes, if we were looking at 95 or so mile, which I think 95 mile an hour, how I deliver is the butter zone for this golf club. And if you look at the demographic of golfers, there are a lot of golfers that swing in and around the 95 miles an hour. Vertical spin rate is a measure of how much change or how much spin change happens when you move vertically on the face. When you miss high or low on the golf club, if your miss is high and low, or some golfers miss toe and heel, we'll look at the spin axis change in a sec, but how much does one driver change that face spin rate when you start moving high and also low? And this is in the medium. Every millimeter that you move, there's a 3% change in its spin rate. Now that's either a good or a bad thing depending on your miss, and that's effectively measuring how stable spin profile a driver has. Generally speaking, the lower the number the better. You don't necessarily want a driver having a massive amount of vertical and also side spin change because we are talking about curvature. Now whether you're talking about curvature going climbing up in the air when you're talking about hitting it low on the face and basically just spinning up and then climbing, or you're looking at hitting high on the face and you get the curvature and the knuckle ball, it just basically doesn't have enough spin. There's too much spin that gets geared off the golf ball and the golf ball just falls out the sky. It's not good. So having something in the medium, it's average, is no problem whatsoever. There are obviously golf clubs out there that has a little bit more stable spin profile. Generally speaking on this, sometimes it's a bit of a robbing Peter to pay Paul, but we'll look at the spin change. Now, when it comes to looking at the spin axis change, that is a measure of how much tilt axis is applied when you start moving left and right. So as you start going toe and heel, you're looking at is in the medium. It's in the lower to medium, so there's 0.65 of a degree of tilt axis every single millimeter that you move across. So if you were to go 10 millimeters across, you'll have about 6.5 degrees of tilt axis. Now, that effectively means curvature, and the more sensitive a driver is to spin axis change, you're going to get more curvature. Now, if you are a golfer that curves the golf ball anyway, and you have a very high spin axis change golf club, you could see some massive, massive curves, hooks, slices. We've all seen them. So having a golf club which is like this one, this is just above the low into the medium, but on the low medium, is actually quite a stable driver. And to the bias of the golf club. How biased is one head over another? Now, Vice say this is a draw bias driver. They're quite open saying this is a draw bias driver. And you can see it is about 2.6 degrees of tilt axis to the left-hand side, minus is left-hand side draw. When you hit it out the middle, so zero face, zero path, zero everything, zero lie, 0-0 strike, everything out of the middle, the most perfect strike that anyone could ever put in a robot and do. And this golf club wants to bias the golf ball 2.6 degrees of tilt axis to the left hand side. Now, you saw by the original 3 different swing speeds, when you hit that, what kind of distance you're looking at offline. You're only talking a few yards. It's not much, like 5 or 6, maybe 7 yards or so, even at the higher swing speeds. Now, of course, if you add then dynamic lie in, because a lot of the golf clubs, most drivers are parked quite high up in the air, toe up in the air, which will give you a little bit more of that loft, whatever you display, looking a bit more left. This is common with every single driver. When you're looking at LS drivers, low spin drivers, generally speaking, their lie angle is a little bit flatter. It makes the loft not look so much left. It's still looking left, but not so much. And so there we bring more into the fade bias from the point of its construction or its fitting, not necessarily how it's made. But you can see it's a very much so in the, it's a draw side of it. It's not the most massive draw bias golf clubs out there. There are definitely golf clubs which are more draw bias than this, but it is still fairly draw. So to conclude on the Vice VGD01, their standard draw biased lightweight driver, and it is quite a lightweight driver. Now, looks wise, I quite like it. I like the fact that they've got their normalized pattern of whatever that pattern is called on top of the crown. It is very much so carbon, and Vice don't necessarily shy away from making a golf club which is stand out when it comes to its looks. And so you are either going to like this one or you are not going to like this one, but I actually do quite like it. When it comes to feel, it's a interesting golf club from feel. It's not the classic carbon sound that you would expect nowadays when you have full-on carbon heads. They sound very muted, they sound very dull, very quiet. This one has got a little bit of punch to it. So if you're a golfer that likes a little bit in the way of extra ting in the ears when you hit a golf ball, then this one is a little bit on the louder side. The VGD01 Plus is slightly differently, but we'll go to that one in a different video. And when it comes to performance, there's one thing I would like to say about the weight. This is a very, very light driver, and one thing I would like to see Vice do is add an option to increasing the head weight of their heads. Now, there are other manufacturers that obviously have head weights, and they do offer different head weights to change swing weight and also change the physical static weight of the head. This one is 187 grams, I've got it written down here, and it is rather light. If they added a little bit of weight, then you would actually then transfer a little bit more of that mass, that energy that you've got from the head into the golf ball, and so potentially you would see a slightly faster face speed from this driver. This is not necessarily the slowest driver at all, no it's not, but it is very, very light. Good thing about it being very, very light is the fact that you may be able to swing that faster. And if you gain more swing speed than you lose in efficiency from the lightness of the head, then that's a good thing. Forgiveness wise, you can see by the distance factor map, is doing rather well. Unless you are a massive toe and heel misser, absolutely, I would say that the Vice VGD01 is a very, very good driver for the vast majority of people. Doesn't lose a lot when you hit it from some weird and wonderful parts. It's doing rather well. Hope you liked the video. If you did, go and give it a big old thumbs up. Hit that like button. YouTube like, so do I. Down there is a subscribe button. It's free. It's great for the channel if you could subscribe, so thank you. And next to that one is a bell icon. That's a notification bell. If you click that one, that'll let you know next time I upload another video. Hope you're well. We'll see you again soon.